the executive director, Historical Museum in the USA, has been a innovative educational resources for schools. Since its founding in 19, used materials and human resources to make belief come alive and appreciative understanding of the African diaspora, its people, and its enormous contribution to this civilization. Now, this Formosa Black History Month conversation series, it will run throughout the month of February. It's an opportunity to discuss and celebrate the various perspectives, interests, and experience represented by our community. So tune in every Saturday at 3 p.m. to our Facebook page and to our YouTube channels, just to listen and or participate. So we have a wonderful panel for you today, and we also have a wonderful. He's a member of our Formosa's board, and his name is Andrew Keaton. Andrew.
Thank you, Sam, for that introduction. As I add everybody to the screen, we plan on having a wonderful conversation today on melanated. The title of the conversation we're having today is Melinated and Mental Health in the Melinated Community. So we're going to definitely have that conversation today. And we have some experts on mental health to our panel today, and I'm so ecstatic about who we have today. Let me introduce the panel as we go right now. I'm going to start off right now. We have Mr. Kevin Green. And Kevin Green, how are you doing today? Introduce yourself and who you are.
Yes, thanks, Andrew. I'm happy to be here, happy to be a part of the community. My name is Kevin Anthony Green. I'm a proud member of Springfield, proud native of Springfield. I am the founder and CEO of Seeds of a Father here. I am also a proud member of the Black Men of Greater Springfield, and I am counselor and I work in student engagement here at Veritas, which is a middle school here in Springfield.
All right, thank you, Kevin, for that wonderful introduction. Next, moving from to my right, we have Ms. Fant, and Ms. Fant, welcome to the broadcast.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here. Just a little bit about me. I have been a nurse for over 38 years, working in healthcare. I've worked in managed care and many other areas of healthcare. And I've also written 2 books. And currently I am working with people who have type 2 diabetes, pre-diabetes, insulin resistance. And you can go to my website at dominatingdiabetesmadeeasy.com to find out more about the diabetes programs that we have. I'm happy to be here.
Thank you, Ms. Fant. Next, we have on the screen, we have Bishop Boyd, who is a mental health counselor. Bishop Boyd, welcome to the broadcast.
Thank you for having me. Bishop Neil Boyd. I work with Mass Support Network, a program funded by FEMA and the Massachusetts Department of Mental Health. I'm a crisis outreach counselor in the mental health field. I'm also on the Pioneer Valley Coalition for Suicide Prevention on the executive committee there to help people preventing from dying by suicide. Thank you for having me.
All right, thank you, Mr. Boyd, for that wonderful introduction. Next, we have Ms. Lewis. Ms. Lewis, welcome to the broadcast.
Thank you. I am currently a behavioral health nurse with pursuing a PhD in public health. My bottom line is I'm looking to encourage our community to seek alternatives to mainstream medication. I'm looking to teach and inform of alternative practices. So my main thrust right now is public health, and that's mental, that's physical, that's community.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Lewis, to the broadcast, and that's beautiful. And you know we're going to get into some public health. We're going to actually start off with the C word. So let's be ready for that. So, Ms. Zavala, thank you and welcome to the broadcast. Can you introduce yourself, please?
Yes, my name is Imani Zavala. I work in the field of human services. Been there for a few years. I'm currently a supervisor for a parenting support program in Springfield. We work with first-time parents. Also, my background is in child psychology. At my church, I serve in the children's ministry department, so I have some of that background. I'm just happy to be here and be part of the conversation.
Okay, once again, we welcome everybody to the conversation, and let's get right into it. For those who don't know mental health, what is mental health? And this is a two-part question. What is mental health, and what is the difference between mental health and the melanated and the Black community? I'll start off with Kevin Green on that one.
Well, definitely mental health is critically important, and especially in the Black community. And I don't think that it really is the attention that it really deserves for a lot of the things that has happened to us in the past and things that's still lingering on today. Mental health is a critical aspect of our well-being. And so psychologically, the things that happen to us, the microaggressions, the racism, this all impacts our mental health and also kind of prohibited us from moving forward in different areas in our lives. So I know in our community, it definitely needs to be raised up more and more, the condition of our mental health.
Thank you. Ms. Fan, that question?
Yeah, mental health is very important for not only Black Americans, but all Americans, because especially during these times when we have so many things to have on our mind, so much anxiety, so much depression, and just in living everyday life. Definitely important that we learn some methods, techniques, and tools to overcome the mental health issues that we have. And I'm glad that we have this conversation today.
Right. Bishop Boyd.
Well, just to chime in with what everybody has said already, it's real critical that it's still a big stigma in our community when it comes to mental health, and partly because of the past, and then partly because it's trust there. Trust, you're talking about trusting in a system that's really broken when it comes for Black people. And so our goal is really, especially mine as a mental health clinician, is to really get the word out that people will be comfortable about talking and sharing their experiences, because so many things are hid within us, and that's to our detriment because we don't really have that opportunity to share and get the service that we need to help us be healed. Because if the brain ain't right, you don't have health. Your health is not good. So it's important that we have people talking about it, and that it can be a normal thing for people to share.
Okay, thank you, Bishop Boyd. Ms. Lewis.
Mental health. Thank you, everyone. I am ecstatic to be here. The mental health for me, bottom line is the coping skill. Everyday objects, incidents, stresses, they're going to come at us. That's just a part of life, no matter where we go, what part of the world we're in. So our community coming together, talking and learning to cope and learning strategies, techniques, and therapies that will help us cope and better survive and elevate. It starts with the conversation and identifying where we are. So
Okay, thank you.
bottom of it is very crucial.
Thank you, Ms. Lewis. I don't know if anybody is watching themselves or if they have feedback on there, but if you are like watching yourself, you're streaming, if you just want to turn the camera or whatever device down just a little bit, because somebody's getting feedback on there. So that question, Ms. Zavala.
Yeah, so I agree with everybody. Mental health is definitely a conversation, a topic that is not discussed enough in our community. And I believe Bishop Neal said this similar thing, is that it starts with mental health, our whole being. If our mental health is not in a place that it should be, it affects our relationships, it affects our bodies, it affects our health. So I think that it's definitely something that we need to talk more about. And even starting in childhood, like those traumas that were not addressed ever, and how that plays a part as an adult and how that plays a part in aspects of our life. So definitely a needed discussion.
Okay, good. That's good. Thank you, everybody, for those comments. I want to stay, this question right here, I want to direct to Kevin Green and Ms. Zavala, because you are both in schools and whoever else want to take on this question. But first, COVID, we know that has impacted the school and the educational system. What are some of the things that need to happen and some of the things that are not services that are not being provided to our to the Black community that should be provided? What are some of the things that we should be looking for and asking for?
Well, I know one of the things that, especially working in the counseling area, is called social emotional learning. A lot of kids who have IEPs or have counseling on their radar, they may not be getting those services. So it's very important that they get the services that they need to handle their mental health. The model SEL, social emotional learning, teaches them to be socially aware, how to manage their behaviors and emotions, how to make responsible decisions, and to develop relationships for advocacy. So in a time of COVID, in a time of socially distance, their social emotional well-being is definitely need to be tapped into more. So the schools need to make sure that if not just kids who have IEPs and counseling, but all kids may need this extra support of learning this social emotional well-being at a time where they don't have the attention, they don't have the support, they're not in school. So I would say that the social emotional learning, being self-aware, socially aware, responsible decision making definitely needs to be in tune for these students.
Okay, good. Ms. Zavala.
Yes, and I would piggyback something similar. Social emotional learning, yes, but even just social connectedness with one another. A lot of children, a lot of school age youth, they are not with their peers that they're with every day. A lot of them were used to going to sports every day. A lot of them were used to going to, after school programs. They're lacking a lot of that. And I noticed that can cause isolation, even with young people, depression, confusion. So I think just creative ways to get more socializing within youth. Obviously, the COVID protocols and everything. But I think that is a big thing. It's just like increasing creative ways, whether that's even through Zoom or phone calls or, 6 feet apart, programs or something like that. I think that social aspect is very needed when it comes to like COVID and everything with the children.
Okay, let me direct this towards Bishop Boyd. You mentioned suicide prevention. Is suicide prevention, especially in these times of COVID, is it something that we're not talking about in the Black community that we should be talking about?
Well, honestly speaking, suicide is really not talked about in the Black community, period.
Right.
Overall, it's something, it's something we haven't done a lot of talking about, even especially as it's increasing in our neighborhood. Let me just explain. Suicide is an attempt to solve the problem of intense psychological pain that people are having. So people are trying their best to get rid of it. And a lot of it is they feel they need to end their life in order for that to happen. And a lot of it's got to do with people seeing no way out of this situation. And since talking is so important, especially in the mental health field, we're not used to sharing things because we really haven't have nobody to share it with, in these services, as far as getting service in the mental health field. So what we do, we might hide it with drinking, drugs, and other things to ease our pain. So that's something that needs to be talked about more. I'm just trying to encourage people to just talk, period. If we can get people to trust somebody enough that they can share with, that'll be a beautiful thing.
Right. And I just want to share this. I found out because I sit on the board as well with Bishop Boyd on suicide prevention. Does anyone know the least likely to commit suicide, a Black male or a Black female? I was shocked when I heard this. It's actually the Black people.
Yeah.
Well, I was actually shocked when I heard that though. So moving on to Ms. Lewis, you health. Does health play a part in our mental, like how important is what we put in our body? How does that play into our mental awareness and mental health?
It definitely plays a big part. Our health, our physical health, mental health, and our spiritual health as well, as to how we feel mentally. If we're putting good food into our bodies and good healthy foods, green leafy vegetables, a lot of good foods that we know that are good for our bodies, and we stay away from those processed foods, we definitely will have a lighter mentality. We think better, we feel better, and when we have that available, our mental health is impacted too. So we're okay physically, our mental health is in good position.
Okay, Ms. Lewis.
For me, the dissecting the human from Black community humans, everybody, the mental, the physical, the social, that's a whole unit. And if you want to see the expressions of the problems come out in the mental, you're going to see it, the deficiencies in the diet, the deficiencies in the social interactions, those are going to be expressed in the mental attitudes, the mental expression. So just dissecting us is not going to work. You've got to look at the whole person. And when part of our social network is not working, that you see in COVID, you're going to see more mental suicide attempts, which I see in the hospital. And I talk to my students when I take my nurses to the hospital. Be observant of the little signs that that person is telling you. And you might have to spend 10 or 15 more minutes in that room talking to that person just to bring a little more of that social problem that they're having, deficiency. The whole person is what we need to look at, and just dissecting and go into just the social, just the mental. You aren't going to fix it. You may patch it, but you aren't going to fix it.
Right. This question is to everybody on the panel. How important is faith to mental health?
When you say faith, are you talking about as far as people religious belief?
Yes.
Or what they believe?
Yes. What they it could be religious belief, it could be the spiritual being of what you believe, but it's really your belief system. How does that play a part in mental health?
It can play a major role. I mean, that's the thing we attribute to as far as Black people, because the church has always been a place where we can get some solace and peace of mind, especially when talking about the mental health field. We didn't have the counselor, like I said, to go to, but we would go to the church and the ministers, and that would be our place of solace as far as prayer and meditation to keep us sane in the time, especially of slavery and everything else. All we had is God to go to, basically, really, and that gives us a sense of peace.
Okay, does anybody else want to? Actually, that's for everybody to the panel. Kevin, you want to tackle that? Then we'll go to Ms. Fant, Lewis, and Zavala.
Yes, it's definitely important to me it definitely gives me hope, right? Because my spirituality is definitely the top, to make sure that I stay focused and make sure that everything is running well. So I pay attention to my spirituality first and foremost. And it's very important, not only just the spirituality part, also, but to have the skills to manage some of these behaviors and things that we're exposed to. I do have my faith, but also I have the practical skills to manage what I'm going through, right? So knowing, for me, saying faith without works is dead. Along with my spirituality, I have some practicality, right? So for instance, if I'm not gonna just pray a diagnosis away, right? I'm gonna acknowledge the fact that maybe I am diagnosed, but then I'm going to take steps to actually induce my healing. But my spirituality is the focal point, but I also have to take steps in my healing. So that's how I utilize my spirituality to make sure I'm holistically whole.
Okay, Ms. Fant, and then we'll go to Ms. Lewis.
Okay, thank you. I agree, and especially with what some things that Kevin said. You definitely have to have hope. And if you have hope, and I'm going to say belief in a higher power, something higher and greater than yourself, then it will give you the hope that you need to overcome any type of mental illness or physical illness. So having that type of belief, that knowing that you're not in this by yourself, that a God, a higher power that is all for your advantage and is here to support you in whatever you go through in life, that gives us hope to go another day and then go another day. So definitely it affects our mental health, whether we have faith and belief.
Okay, Ms. Lewis.
For me, the faith aspect of the human being, it's a core. And when you realize that that core is very sociable and you need to express it, and you express it in groups of social gatherings, church, your women's club, your book club, anything that lets you express that common bond, that common faith, um, it's a necessity, human balance. For me, the faith is, and I try to teach that when I'm speaking to people or forming a group, a social group, uh, like-minded is the core of it. And that faith, that's meditation, that's just coming together to cook. You need that.
Okay. Ms. Zavala, and then we're going to introduce our new panel that just came on after she spoke. I have a question. There's saying that is everybody mic muted if they're not talking? Because there's a lot of feedback that's, I know a few of ours is going, so we can just mute our mics, or I don't know why there's feedback like that. So we can get to it. But Ms. Zavala?
Yeah, I think everybody said it perfectly. Faith is really tied a lot with mental health as an anchor. It gives hope to the hopeless. It gives, hope to the lost and the broken. And just knowing that we're able to go to whatever higher power you believe in as how we are. So like, I'm not going to hide that I'm depressed. I'm not going to hide that I'm going through suicidal thoughts. I'm not going to hide that I'm going through, X, Y, and Z. I trust and I believe that I can go to whatever higher source you believe in for hope and for guidance, and going to the word and what the word says to be able to get you through. And I like what Kevin said, is like, faith without works is dead. It's not alone that you can do that. But now that I know this, now that I know that God is with me, what do I have to do? Do I have to seek counseling? Do I have to do, X, Y, and Z? So I think faith is really what helps keep us anchored, especially with our mental health. But it's also that works that goes alongside with it.
Okay. And introduction to the panel, we have Ms. Gibson. So Ms. Gibson, can you introduce yourself?
Hello, everyone. I apologize for my tardiness. My times was a little mixed up. But my name is Zarel Gibson. I am a life coach and a CEO of a nonprofit for lupus and autoimmune disorders. And I am a Christian beating lupus. So I did not get the question to be able to answer.
No, but we're definitely gonna throw you right in there. And matter of fact, since you came in, Ms. Gibson, we will direct this next question to you. Health. So as we know, I'm not gonna say, I'm just gonna say the C word. You know what I'm referring to, C word. So a lot of C word has really been affecting the African American community, the Black community, the melanated, whatever you want to call it, community, because of pre-existing conditions. Can anybody speak to that? I know Ms. Fant can talk about it, Ms. Lewis too. So can anybody else speak to it? I'm gonna let you start, Ms. Gibson, to talk about that. What are some of the things you're encountering about pre-existing conditions with C and COVID?
It really does play a toll on your mind and your faith, because you feel like for the longest time in the generation I was growing up in, we felt like if God said that you're healed, you shouldn't be sick of anything. So now that COVID comes along on top of what's already been shaking your faith of whatever illness you may have, it can put you in a spiral of depression and feel like God is not there for you or anything like that, which is actually totally opposite, because throughout the Bible, all the different people who have gone through so many different things, and in the end, God got the glory and was able to speak other people through things. So as far as COVID is concerned, God to use wisdom. You understand that you have certain things that you were going through. Don't put yourself in a whole nother situation that probably wasn't even really meant for you. So it's a matter of knowing where to place yourself so that you may use your faith in a proper way. Basically, if for lack of a better phrase to say it, but let me say, for me, when it comes to lupus, when COVID first came out, it was very unsettling for me, because I had just gotten out of I had just had some hospital issues, and now I have all this stuff to worry about, things that I had already been doing as far as mask and wiping things down, and just being extra careful, letting people know your sickness can kill me, but my sickness can't rub off on you. And this is all according to the doctors. This isn't according to spiritual faith, because as long as I'm walking with God, my doctors who said I was supposed to die at 24, I'm here at 43. So we're living with that testimony and explaining to people that you are more than your illness is very important, regardless of whatever comes into this world.
Okay, so we're gonna go to Ms. Lewis and then Ms. Fink, and whoever else wants to jump in after that.
My observation of what COVID has uncovered or brought to light is the fact that we need that social interaction more than we wanted to acknowledge. So to bring out more creative ways for the community to get together and exchange that need for social interaction, we are getting very creative, and we do need more of that. And I think that aspect of COVID has it opened that up. So I'm liking what I see in some of the communities' creativity of getting the kids together, getting the women together, and getting the communities together just to interact. And the basis of that interaction of talking of their mental needs needs to be a big part of that conversation. But that has been an aspect of COVID that I've noticed. It has exposed that need for that social interaction.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Fan.
Yes, I work with people with pre-diabetes, type 2 diabetes, and also insulin resistance. And this group of people already had an immune deficiency. They were already susceptible to a lot of things, out in the world. So when COVID came along, we discovered shortly after that people with diabetes of any type were more susceptible to getting COVID than any other community, and particularly African-American diabetic. So this has been, pretty, I'm going to say, stressful to the people in the diabetic community, because now they're afraid to come out of their homes. They know that the media says that they're more susceptible to getting COVID. So many of them have not come out of their houses, in the whole almost 11 months now, or 12 months. Related to COVID, because they think that they're going to get it. So it's also increased their depression rate, it's increased their anxiety. It's also, just made it a really hard way to live. And so definitely has affected, COVID have definitely affected the people in the diabetic.
Right, and I know people who are diabetic are getting hit hard. Now, one thing I want to do, because of time, people are asking questions. I do want to throw questions in here, and we can actually, as we go on, we can answer some of these questions. So one of the questions is, what resources or avenues to healthcare access community exist for those in the Black community that are not religious? I just want to say before y'all answer that, I don't think mental health has anything to do with what faith you are. If mental health is something that we need to deal, we all have some kind of mental health issues. Is how we deal with it. It has nothing to do with religion. I just wanted to say that, and I'm not a mental health expert. So did you want to tackle that, question is for Bishop Boyd.
Yes, that was a great point there. This got nothing to do with religion. You know, when you're serving people in the mental health field, religious, gay, it don't matter what background you have. We're here to serve you and help you get the best service possible. I want to say this, that I am happy now that a lot of pastors are opening up to the fact that mental health is important in their churches, because it's still a big stigma out there when it comes to ministers, especially pastors who I've been trying to reach. You know, because when you say this, say, oh, nobody, we ain't crazy, you know, nothing's wrong. But it's just, you know, because people think that stigma about being crazy, it's got nothing to do with that. It's just the issues and pressures of life that has happened, trauma that has happened in people's past life that has not been addressed. So it's all about just meeting the needs, nothing to do with you, who you are, what color you are, what sect you're in, just about giving you the service to help you go forward in your life.
Okay. Kevin, you want to tackle that too?
There's some resources that's near State Street, the Family Resource Center. It's right there behind Dunkin' Donuts, where they have different resources for people in the community. So you can go into the Family Resource Center right near SciTech, and get some information on different programs and different ways that you can access health preventative care. And so there are some resources. If you look, go to the Mason Square Health Center, they'll be able to direct you to some resources that may be available. So it's like the Family Resource Center. I'm part of the Family Advisory Committee for DCF and representing Western Massachusetts. And what we do, we advise the Department of DCF about the things that's going on in our community. And that's one of the things that I raise to their attention, is that resources that are supposed to be in our community, the people don't know about them.
Right.
They don't know about the resources that they have access to. So that is definitely a problem when there are resources that are available, but they don't know that they're available. So actually the resources are no good. So I'm just saying the Family Resource Center, right over there near Dunkin' Donuts, is a place where you can go get some resources for your mental health.
Right.
Mr. Keaton, if you don't mind, thank you. I meant to say that also C3, community policing C3 that meets every week. They have all kind of resources on those calls for the community, as well as the African diaspora right there, which is a Black mental health place right on State Street there. So if we can plug, it's a lot of resources out there. Maybe we can put some in the chat later that people can have access to it.
Yeah, and I just want to say, and thanks for bringing that up, Bishop, because right across from CBS African Diaspora, Dave Lewis and Gary Porter, a few other people are there. And just like Kevin said, there's resources. And another thing too is you have to be able to go out and willing to as you say, bite the bullet and go out and find these resources, because a lot of people will complain that there's no resources, but there are people out here doing the work. It's just sometimes the business might be advertising, or you don't know that there's a lot of Black mental health workers in the community. This right here panel is example that they are in the community. So we just need to really just ask the questions and stuff. I know a lot of people have mental health issues. They don't ask questions, and it just piles up till it gets.
Can I make a point here?
Yeah.
Can I make a point here? If it's our best resource would be each other coming together to form that like-minded group, and the internet has proven to be a mountain of information. And forming that like-minded group to address issues of diabetes, to address issues of children mental health or creative diet. Those groups have been proven to be a powerful source within the Black community that spans the globe. When you share that international information with your group, it's boundless what you can do with that group of like-minded people.
It's about networking. There's another. Does anybody else want to tackle that question? There's another question I have to ask.
Yeah, I would say one that I know that I'm a part of is Our Journey, which is in Springfield. Our Journey is a wellness center that is specific to the health and wellness for the Black community. They have nutritional classes, accountability coaching, personal training. I know it firsthand. I am an advocate for Our Journey. An awesome program. And I know that a lot of insurances nowadays, when it comes to therapy and mental health services, a lot of insurances, because of COVID, they're paying for co-pays. So a lot of people who can't afford to go to therapy because of the copay, that is, I'm not sure how long it's going on for, but it has been going on through the pandemic. So if that is an interest as well, some insurances, I'm not sure which ones, but they're paying for co-pays.
And I want to add to with Our Journey, they was having a lot of these conversations in person before COVID hit too. So it is a good resource. But let me put this question to the screen.
Can I say something really quick? I'm sorry. I just want to put mine out there, the one that I'm connected to. It's Be Busy Wellness Center. They have more than one location. And the good thing about them is they take insurance, but if you don't have insurance, you don't have to shy away because they still will help you out.
Okay. So there's another question from French Leave. When we are stuck in interaction with people who are not healthy for us, psychology is extremely psychological. I can't even see it on my glass. It is extremely damaging. Could somebody speak to that?
I want to say, in my own experience, you're never stuck unless you want to be stuck. You know, so if you realize that you're in this situation, there's always a way to move around. And some people think they're stuck because it's family. You're never stuck. Sometimes you have to put your family aside so that you can move forward. I mean, you don't have to, just totally cut them off and say they're not family, but you can just put them aside to correct you, because you might need to correct you so that you can come back and help them.
Does anybody want to speak to that?
I believe my own personal opinion is not everyone's for everyone. So that like-minded comment or saying, that should be taken to heart. Not everybody's like-minded. Not everybody's in the same place at the same time. So if it's not right for you at that time, respectfully, you don't have to be rude. You don't have to be nasty. It's just not right for me right now. So space is the best time, is the best thing sometime.
Yeah, and to add to that, what Erlena just said, I think sometimes we have to do what I call a people fast. We have to fast, maybe do a 30-day fast from the person that you think is toxic to you, the person that you think is damaging to you. Just tell the people, the friends that you know, say, hey, I'm just going to go on a 30-day fast and connect with me again in 30 days. And you don't even have to say specific people's names. Just let your friends know that you're going on a fast and you're going to be taking care of yourself. And I won't be in communication with you for 30 days. So I've actually had people send me a text like that because they wanted to get themselves in a different type of mindset and a different type of spirit. So they just did a fast from people.
Right.
That might work.
Right.
That's one of those creative techniques, right?
Yes.
Well,
absolutely.
I would just say, love yourself enough to do what's right for you. And a lot of times we love other people and their opinion and want them around more than we love ourselves. So that'll give you a love check on you. And if I love me enough, I can say no, not now, or I'll talk to you later. So, so you gotta love yourself enough to leave when it's right for you.
Right. Definitely.
So when it comes to the mindset, and so many times either people or the news, we're being bombarded with this is psychological warfare out here, right? So we have to be able to protect our mindset by being around people who's healthy for us, being mindful of what we're exposed to, what we watch, what we listen to. So psychologically, sometimes you're working with people who are toxic, right? So how do you manage that when you have to work with them every day? You just have to be mindful of your mindset, right? And your ability to cope, different healthy ways to cope, because sometimes the people that you work with, right? And so you don't want to quit your job, but you definitely have to guard your mind, right? Mental fortitude to be able to guard your mind and your heart and be able to cope with these different things. And sometimes these situations and people that you're around are unavoidable. So it's not all the time where it's just a relationship that you're in. I'm just asking people to be mindful of what they take in, whether it's people, information, internet. You have to protect your mindset.
So as we know, once again, with what's going on right now, with back to piggyback off the interaction piece of it, when you look at we're in schools and you look at the work that you do, how hard is it to to do the work that you do, knowing that you have social distancing, you have to do Zoom sometimes with client referrals, sometimes you can't talk to a patient, or sometimes when you're dealing with school, you can't go visit to the house. How do you cope with that? Or what are some of the things that you do?
Well, some of the things that I do is reach out to them on the phone. Before there was internet, right? We had the telephone, right? So
Right.
we can build a rapport. The more you communicate, the more you know about somebody. Those are still rapport, relationship building things. To develop a rapport is the most critical thing when you're trying to work as a professional and help somebody else along. And so I make sure that I contact them via Zoom, on the telephone. And then also here at Veritas, we do have some kids in the building. So we're allowed to keep socially distanced. So I become very engaging and innovative to set up different games to do to engage them. So I set up different games like tic-tac-throw, where you're standing on different sides of the gym and you have hula hoops and you're just throwing them, but you're socially distanced. So these are some, you have to become very innovative when it comes to protecting your mental health, and also with COVID to remain safe, and also to make sure that the areas that you are clean. We here at Veritas make sure that the safety protocol is very intact, but we also want to be very engaging because we understand the impact from the social distancing, social emotionally. So you have to become very innovative, call over the phone, do the Zoom, but the more and more you build that relationship, and it doesn't have to be on Zoom, on the telephone. You can go back to what we didn't have before. We didn't have the internet all the time. So pick up the telephone and start to develop a better rapport with whoever you're dealing with.
That's a great point, Kevin, because that's how we used to communicate. Ms. Fant, can you answer that?
Well, I'm gonna piggyback on some things that he said about the creative ways that you can cope. And one of the creative ways that a lot of the people who I know since COVID started, they're starting to develop these hobbies that they had that they couldn't ever do before. Like some people are sewing, they're doing crocheting or knitting. They're doing these different arts and crafts and things that they love to do that before didn't have the time to do. And when they're doing those new hobbies, developing new hobbies or creating old, making old habits become new, then they are finding a way to cope within themselves to make it so that they can overcome the stress that they may feel. A lot of people get, energized by doing a hobby. So I want to, request that everyone maybe take a look at what hobbies it is that you can bring out of the closet and work on it. And while you're working on that hobby, you're also working on your mindset and your stress. So just want to add that.
Okay, Bishop Boyd.
She's definitely right. Being creative. One thing COVID, even me personally, has made me take a greater look at myself and become creative in doing things and catching up on a lot of things that I wanted to do, that I wasn't able to do. So, man, I've accomplished a lot during this COVID time, really have personally in my life. So the thing is, it's making you reinvent yourself, if I can use that word. And most of all, giving you a lot of patience. Man, I know people now, because people was in the fast lane, but now there's nowhere to go. So that you out of that lane. So, so you got to learn how to be patient at home and do other things, which to me is great because we need patience more than anything.
Right. Ms. Lewis?
I agree with everyone, and back to a point that I stressed earlier, COVID has uncovered so many things, going in the closet, finding those talents, connecting with people on another level to replace that social bonding that we used to walk out the door and do at restaurants or wherever. A recent a recent project of mine has been to work with seniors in some of the senior homes that have not been able to get out like they used to. So, what us, my Girl Scout troop and I and my daughter have done, we have gotten the knitting thread and needed and not knit crochet thread and the crochet needles and given those to the seniors and giving them projects to crochet. And that's brought out some of those old skills that they used to have in their younger days of crocheting. And it brings it back around to our healthcare workers. They're crocheting the little ear savers that hold the mask onto the back of the head instead of the ears. And so we're connecting two groups that need each other, and bringing out some of those skills and some of those activities to be creative. And what it's done was the young girls have gotten to connect with some seniors. The seniors have gotten to connect with some of their skills that they haven't used in years, crocheting, and gotten to reach back and see the young people coming up, being creative and being a little bit grateful, because I'm constantly telling them you need to be grateful for these seniors that have laid our way. So, so many things have come back in a creative way through COVID, and all of it's horrific. It has brought some things for us.
Okay, Mr. Vala?
I agree with everybody. Communication for sure, creativity for sure, but even just bracing myself. Like, we are in a pandemic still. Like, it's still very hard. I know that a lot of people pre-pandemic were like always on the go, doing all these things, and going in a pandemic, some people want to rest, some people just want to reset and refresh. And I know in the very beginning, I would say for myself personally, I always felt like I saw people doing a lot of stuff on social media, like doing this thing, getting into that. And I was like, well, I guess I had to get into all this stuff. And even though I know I needed to rest, I felt pressure to just be productive. But I think just going at your own pace, you will find what you want to get into. You will find all those creative things are going to come naturally. Some people need to rest. Some people, can't wait to get into different things, but just going at your pace is very important.
Okay, good. Ms. Gibson?
I think they were wonderful. Piggybacking off of what Ms. Lewis said a little bit earlier about how the young people are talking to the elderly is something that, we've been trying to do for a while. So I think that's great because we learn from our elders. So bringing those two together, with you have no other way and you have no other choice, bring them together so they can talk about things that used to happen or what can go forward and things like that. Before the pandemic, I video chatted everybody. And everybody was like, why you video chatting me? Why you want to look at me? And why I want to see your face? I ain't seen you in forever. So when COVID came around, I was still video chatting. What you say now? You at home? Let's have a conversation. Everybody wants to video chat me now. I have no problem with that. So, that is very comforting. If I can't touch, I can see your face. I can see your smile. I can see your reaction, and in this pandemic with people slowing down and learning each other, I think it's a really good maturity thing on all levels from any age, because we learn so much about ourselves and how to receive others and, how to express ourselves a little bit more. We came abrupt before, but it's like, okay, well, let me slow down, because if nobody talks to me, I'm just looking at my four walls. So let me slow down and see how I can redirect this conversation to see how we can get a little bit better in this. So I don't have to be alone, truly alone. People that move around so much actually are, well, a lot of people, I'm not going to say all people, a lot of people, they're actually are lonely and they're finding things to do because they don't want to feel alone in a one spot. So they stay busy 24/7, so they don't have to feel by them, so they don't have to be by themselves. But now that they are, it's kind of like, what do I do now? Do I have real friends? One thing I've noticed on social media, I have no friends. Well, I mean, you didn't have friends before, you just hung out with a bunch of people. So people are starting to realize things now, and they're developing that part of themselves. Would be like, I guess I have to be a friend to get a friend, and video chat and all this other type of stuff.
Okay. We have a question. One of the issues with my screen, there's like a block off in my screen. So I'm gonna try to read this. I don't know if everybody can see this, but there has been a lot of talk of inherited and transgenerational trauma and its effect on the Black community. Can any one of you speak to that from either a physical or a psychological standpoint? I can't. I'm trying to read this. It's blocked off, so I hope I read every word right.
You did.
Can anybody speak to that?
Well, if you don't mind, I can just a little about it. For instance, with the Tuskegee, longer time ago, the Tuskegee experiment, when it came to syphilis and that kind of thing, they had promised to pay Black people. They used us as guinea pigs, and that's why I trust, as far as this vaccination is concerned, people don't trust it, because the way we've been used in the past, and they promised all these things, but we know the great harm that they did to our community, as well as let's say racial profiling when it comes to police stopping Black people. We have to teach our kids about these types of things, and that's a real mental effect that it has had on our community for generations. See, all these things, guinea pigs and these things, we have to teach. The other community have to teach their kids these things. I mean, I see white people fighting the police. Get out the course. They get out and fight them. And if we were to do something like that, we'll be dead. But I'm just saying these kind of things has affected us as far as transgenerational trauma and effect on our community, and it still is today. And that's the fight that we're having as far as getting the service of mental health, trusting as far as vaccinations and different things that has happened to us in the past.
Okay. Let's go to Miss Gibson. I'll pick you out and you can all do that. Let's go to Miss Gibson.
What I say to that, like I was saying earlier, people are, at home alone, and they have their thought process going through their mind. And one of the things that, of course, is the big thing today is find your history, find out about your history. Where are you from? We all go through something and wonder, why am I feeling this way? This is not me. How do I get here? And we're learning about generational curses of where we came from and how can I fix this and what can I do differently? So the pandemic did open it up. I mean, it was already cracked, but it's like it busted open with the pandemic. No one had anything better to do but, find all this stuff out. And we're learning so much about each other and, ourselves, as far as when I say each other, I mean our ancestors and, the generational curses that came down from one generation to the next. So we're learned that stuff is coming out, and it's a good thing that it's coming out, which is why we're getting therapy to learn how to better ourselves, so that we won't pass it down to the next generation, whether you have kids or not. So I mean, has there been a lot of talk? There has been a lot of talk. Yes, there has been a lot of talk, and I think it's the time for the talk. This gave us an opportunity to stop and actually see and look and correct a lot of things that had gone wrong, so that we can move forward even further. And that's why, life coaches and therapy are so important now, and people are getting it because they never realized, even in just going to church, their therapy was go to church and pray about it. That's all we knew. We weren't taught on the other end that, okay, you went to church and pray about it, but there's actually a process you have to go through to heal, to be delivered. People think, oh, well, I'm saved, I'm automatically delivered. No, baby, you still got to clean your house. Your house is a little junky. You saved, so you know the direction and you actually see the door, but can you get to it through all your junk? So that's why I think that's why it's a lot of talk about it right now, and it's a good talk to have.
Right.
Well, I would like to chime in when we're talking about generational trauma, and through my organization, Seeds of a Father, we have an I-Read initiative that I named after my late grandfather, who had a 3rd or 4th grade education and he could not read. And so one of the ways to deal with the trauma is to learn more about our history, right? And so even I have this book here, Little Legends, Exceptional Men in Black History, right? So part of the system that had taken advantage of us before, in order to try to move on, and not really move on because we suffering from the impact. The impact is very real, but to look for great things that people of color have contributed to the system, right? That's another way to help us look at the system a little bit differently. But it's definitely real when it comes to systematic racism, when we're dealing with the mental health, the medical field, the educational system. But another way is for us to gain knowledge of the things that we've contributed to these different systems. Because if we stay stuck and what happened to us, we're never moving forward. So this another way for my mind is to look at some of the things that we've contributed. Now, my grandfather, he didn't have the ability to read, but I have the ability to read. And so through my organization, we make sure that other people are reading books that look like them, who learn about their history. And that itself will help give a different light about the systems that we have to deal with.
Right.
Can
Anybody
I
else?
piggyback off of that?
Yep.
I think he makes a great point, about that, about knowing what we've done in history. Because for so long, and you have so many people who didn't see that, so they figured we weren't worth anything. So it's like, well, we must not be able to do anything but, run a track or throw a ball, which is not true. So with all that history coming out with people who are educating themselves on that is real important, because when you see yourself, may not be you, but you see yourself, it's an opportunity to be able to think, oh, I can do this and move forward. And that's
Right.
all I want to say.
Yeah. Anybody else want to chime in on that?
I did. I wanted to add something and to bring that health aspect into it. Reminded me of Sharon's book, Your Doctor's Not the Boss of You. And that brings back a lot of our history of where whatever doctors say must be good. If he gives me this pill, it must be good. And I love the fact that Sharon books and a lot of other people are finally saying, wait, you are the boss of your health. You need to get it, own it, and direct it. So if you don't like taking all of these pills, search out some alternatives. Get with people that are interested in alternatives and find something that works for you. Just like that doctor has to find a pill that works for you, you can find alternative practices that work for you. And we've been sending people home with COVID to bring that back. We've been sending them home, or just tell them, if you have it, don't come in the office. Instead of saying there's other herbs or other therapies that you can use to maybe address that, so that you don't have to get on the ventilator, to bring that generational back. It's not everything that sits in a white coat, that sits in the office, that's best for you. And it's back to that same old school. Get around like-minded people that have used some things, share with each other. You don't have to wait to get put on a ventilator because COVID is still deadly. Go grab some herbs from somebody in your neighborhood or one of your like-minded sisters or brothers that have tried and worked for them. See if it works for you. Just don't wait to go lay up and die. Please don't do that.
Yeah, I know. Ms. Fant wants to comment on that too after the help. But no, first of all, I appreciate Ms. Lewis and Ms. Fant for what they do when they talk about natural and herbs and stuff. On our show, if anybody listened to our Respect for the Life show here in Springfield, we had Dr. Whitaker on. Dr. Whitaker is the co-author of a book called Medicine with S-I-N. And basically tells you about not to take the shot and how you can cure yourself naturally. And I think going back to what Kevin was saying and Ms. Gibson was saying about the knowing piece, we can't be who you are until you know who you are. So when you really know, we've created great things. One of the big lies they told you, and I'm gonna get off my soapbox, is that we all came over here on slave ships. That was a lie. That's documented that we were already here first. So some of the things that we need to do, and we were already doing the herbs and healing stuff. Even our grandmothers had healing, stuff that we just got away from because we trust the white coach. And by the way, that coat is the same coach that a butcher wears too. I just wanted to say that. So Ms. Fant, you have any comments on that?
Yeah, I just want to add that, just like Alina said, yeah, my book is about, your boss is not, the doctor's not the boss of you. And the reason I wrote that book is because more and more people were just turning over their power to the doctor. And I worked in medicine and healthcare for over 38 years. And what I want everyone to know is that you can take the power back, empower yourself, heal yourself. We all can heal ourselves. We listen to our bodies, and our bodies will tell us exactly what we need. There's herbal medicines, there's herbal teas. You just do some research. Google is your best friend. And one of the best things that you can take for COVID, a tea called Neem tea. Neem tea. So you can take that, and that is a good immune type of tea that'll keep you from getting most viruses and things like that. So definitely take your power back, be in control of your own body, be in control of your own health. That is my mission in life, is to tell people to do that. So thank you for letting me say that.
No, we have to have Miss Lewis and Miss Fant come back on the medical aspect of it just alone, because people need to hear just certain things. I mean, you get a headache, you take aspirin, you take Tylenol. The long effects, those cause tumors. But there's natural things you can do that will heal quicker than an aspirin. So those are some of the things we can do. We got about, I would say, 2-3 minutes. Let's do something positive. I always like to do. Anybody seen my show? I always like to do fun facts. So let me start with Kevin. Give us a fun fact and a positive thing about Kevin that nobody knows.
A fun fact about Kevin. Listen, I love the community. I love the children, right? I love to be involved in building and in educating others. So I would say that's a fun fact. I'm very passionate about it.
Okay, good. We'll start with Miss Fant. It's a fun fact. I didn't even know you wrote that book too, and I got to get your book. But give us a fun fact.
Okay, one fun fact about me is that right at the age of 49, I said, I want to do something I've never done before. And I ran my first half marathon. And since that time, I've done like 3 full marathons and about 8 half marathons. So you can do anything you want to do if you put your mind to it. So Thank you.
Wow. Bishop Boyd?
A fun fact. Well, a fun fact is I love having fun. I got a saying, everything dead should be buried. So that's, so I ain't dead, and I ain't gonna act like I'm dead in no kind of way. So it's just about being alive, having fun in everything you do. And most of all, self-care, taking care of yourself is so important, that you take time out for you, that you can continue to do the things you enjoy.
Okay. Miss Lewis?
A fun fact for me, I think, would be I've noticed recently, I am so proud of the young ladies that I'm seeing, the 20, 30-year-old women that are pushing forward and at the same time pulling up from behind them. I am so proud of these young women. So proud.
Okay, good. Miss Zavala?
Fun fact. Like I'm not too fun. I guess a fun fact is I feel like I'm how sort of Erlina said was that I feel like I'm always the youngest of whatever I'm doing. Like at my job, I'm the youngest supervisor. And here I'm only 26 years old. So I think that's just showing up and just really advocating and giving my knowledge. I think that's a fun fact about me.
Okay, good. And Miss Gibson, fun fact.
I feel like Zavala. I don't do a whole lot of fun stuff, but usually I'm the youngest one in the group, so I'll give you that today. Fun fact about me is I love helping the community. I love bringing people together. I used to model and I connected people then. I'm here connecting with you guys. I'm going to be connecting forever. And I realized that no matter what I want to do, I'll be able to do it. I've been able to be a foster parent at a young age in my 20s, which I haven't seen for a while. So I just love to have fun, period, point blank. That's the fun fact about me.
Right. Now, one of the things I want to say, because we have to go now, but everybody knows March is mental Health Awareness Month. I'm sorry. It's so I want to bring this panel back. I want to bring you guys back, and we want to have another conversation about mental health and get more into detail about it. And we're gonna have fun, and maybe we can go a little bit more longer because it's much needed. And looks like we're gonna be in this situation for a little bit longer, and things are gonna happen that we definitely need to talk about. So I definitely want to bring everybody back. I really want to thank all the panel. It was fun. Like I said, time runs short. And before we leave, I would like everybody to say again their business, what they work for. And also, I have your email, but I'm not going to put it on the screen because it's blocking. I have a block right here. So I'll try to do it when you say things or say anything. So I would like everybody to promote their business again, if they have any upcoming events or anything they would like to share. And once again, I really appreciate this panel. It was fun, a lot of insights. It was just a pleasure to sit here on this Saturday. Y'all could have been anywhere else, but y'all was here giving out information though. So I'm gonna start with Mr. Green.
I think you're muted.
Seeds of a Father. We're dedicated to the overall well-being and enrichment of father-child relational development. We do have an event coming up, not really an event. We're connected with Bob the Bike Guy to help with different activities that children and fathers can do in the Eastfield Mall. So that's going to be coming up where they can learn how to take care of their bikes, pack backpacks for the homeless, just giving them different things that they can do. And also as a part of the Black Men of Greater Springfield, we have a series going on called The History of Hip Hop. And that's actually bridging the generational gaps through music. People are learning a lot. And the next session is going to be in a couple of weeks. We just had a session yesterday. It's called The History of Hip Hop. And people are learning a lot about it, crossing up different genres from disco to hip hop. So I just wanted to share that.
Thank you. So Ms. Fan?
Yes, I am a diabetes consultant. I'm a diabetes awareness advocate because I believe that education is very important to changing the status of diabetes in our community. And you can reach me at dominatingdiabetesmadeeasy.com.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Boyd, Bishop Boyd.
No problem. Bishop Boyd here. Work with Mass Support Network, a program funded by FEMA and the Massachusetts Department of Mental Health. I'm an outreach crisis counselor. This was started because of COVID-19, and that's why we're here to serve. It's a free service for everybody in the state of Massachusetts. Also, I'm on the exec committee for the Pioneer Valley Coalition of Suicide Prevention. And we have an event coming up on the 22nd of this month, and I'll be hosting this every month for once a month, a town hall meeting, and it's dealing with soul food. We call it a soul food for the Black mind. So it's going to be dealing with mental health issues and different things in our communities. So I'll be airing that on the 22nd. We'll give you more information about that. Mr. Keating, you'll know about that. So we're going to have it for the next 5 months. Thank you.
And thank you, Mr. Bishop Boyd. Once again, I sit on the coalition on the board with him on suicide prevention, and just a lot of things I just really didn't know, and a lot of things that we need to start paying attention to that too. So Ms. Lewis.
Thank you. So one of the projects that I have begun in recent weeks was to bring together like-minded people looking to share their herbal experiences. And I'd like to have that international. So if you feel like that's a group that you'd like to join, reach out and we'll see if we can take this international.
Okay. Oh, that's local. So I'll be joining that. Ms. Zavala.
Yes, again, I'm a supervisor for a first-time parenting support program called Healthy Families in Springfield. So we serve first-time parents prenatally up until the child's 3 years old. Parenting group support resources, talking about child development and milestones and all of that things for the parent and child. So if you're interested, you can reach out to me.
All right, thank you. And Ms. Gibson, to close us out.
Yes, Zarel Gibson. I am a certified life coach. I am a lupus advocate, and I am a CEO of a nonprofit for lupus and autoimmune disorders. You can find us the resource center. Well, we're full of resources where we're helping people to learn how to work even out of their hospital bed, lower their bills, use me as a life coach, so on and so forth, and find other connections to different organizations within the lupus and autoimmune community so that they don't have to surf all over the place. They have a directory, among other things. So we do have some projects coming up, but you'll have to look at the website and see them. So the website is www.gibson, G-I-B as in boy, S-O-N, lupus, L-U-P-U-S, rc.net. So I thank you.
So listen, all the information you had, I always say there ain't nothing to do. Everybody just named a bunch of stuff going on in the city, not just here in the city of Springfield. So there's a lot of stuff going on. So once again, we appreciate the panel for coming out. If you can check us out next Saturday at 3 p.m., we're going to be doing Blacks in the Military and Blacks contributions in the military. And then the week after that, we're going to be doing a contributions, of Black fraternities and sororities in the whole political field and how they made up this whole country and the makeup of this country. All right, so everybody signing off. Thank you to our panel. I'm signing out.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.